Hi, my name's Steve and welcome to the Seaside Allotment channel, and it's harvest day today, and I thought I'd do a quick video to show you the sort of things we're harvesting mid-August. I always try and do it about this time each month, just so you get a comparison from last month as the sort of way the harvests are progressing. Now, we're self-sufficient in veg and seasonal fruit, and we pretty much all year round, well in fact all year round, and so we generally just harvest fresh. We do a little bit of preserving, and I'll do a video on that in a few days time, but pretty much everything we eat is fresh, apart from things like, you know, tomato sauces and pickled onions and, you know, pickled gherkins and things like that. So we do extend the season a little bit in that way, and it's not too bad, I would say. I mean, although the weather has been unbelievable, and it's just cycling between gales and torrential thunderstorms and blazing hot heat, and the plants are totally confused as to what's going on, and we've got loads of plant diseases all over the place, but yeah, we're doing all right. So I'm going to get on with the harvest now, and I'll show you the harvest in a minute and I'll finish. So here's today's harvest. Pretty pleased with it. We've got some New Zealand spinach here, brassica mixes, lovely collection of sprout tops, sprouts, calabrese and kales, all sorts of different things. We've got lots and lots of amazing chard. Got some Savoy cabbage with mixed brassicas, lots of lovely lettuces, fantastic lettuce mixes. We're just building those up at the moment, adding the tomatoes and the cucamelons and the spring onions and all of that sort of thing. Mixed beans, baby trumpettinos, carrots and beets, leeks, peppers, gherkins, and squashes, mix of summer and winter squashes. Pretty good, pretty pleased with it all. And then we've got the fruit. We're still actually getting a few raspberries, which is nice. We've picked so many raspberries. There's even a few strawberries in there. And finally we're getting decent harvests off the tomatoes, but they're very slow. But anyway, starting. And some nice peppers, although some of them have got the odd hole in them. Some more peppers. Peppers are really slow, even slower than tomatoes. Some gorgeous tomatoes in there. I think I showed you the leeks earlier. So that is pretty much it. So I'm all boxed up now. I do really like these reusable containers. Keeps our carbon footprint down, and our plastic footprint, of course. And in the summer they're such a joy to use. In winter they get a little bit tough, so they're quite hard to clip on, but in the summer, in the heat, they're really good. So most of this food is for us, and any bits and pieces that we've got left we give away. So we're all bagged up. We actually had 63 containers today. I'm not sure whether that's a record, but it's pretty good. I think it's probably a record just for an ordinary harvest day. Probably not a record for a bulk harvest day or a bulk harvest week. We've also started picking some windfalls, and I think we're going to try dehydrating these pears, even though they're small, and we'll see how they go. And some of these apples I think will end up dehydrating too. Might as well get started. So there we go, and it's worth just clarifying a little bit about this harvest. So when you're self-sufficient, especially when you're self-sufficient and you don't like to freeze stuff, you have to grow a surplus. It's absolutely inevitable that you do that, particularly if you eat like we do, which is a lot of leafy greens. So lots of brassica greens, lots of salad greens, lots of beet greens, spinach greens, chicory, radicchio, all that sort of thing. Because you're always in this cycle of having just enough and then way too much and then just enough and then way too much, and you just cycle like that all the way through the year, and you go probably through 6 cycles of sort of scarcity, just enough, and massive abundance, and that's just the growing cycle of leafy greens. So you end up with this massive surplus, and so we intentionally have a network of people that we give that surplus to. So we're quite organised about it, and we're organised about it for a couple of reasons. One is we just don't like to waste anything, and the other thing is it's really expensive, and so it's really nice for our friends and family to get some free leafy greens which are really healthy. It's our kind of strategy for combating climate change as a family. The carbon footprint of the food that we give away covers the carbon footprint of the food that we still have to buy. Obviously we still buy oats and nuts and stuff like that, and meat and eggs occasionally, although we do barter for eggs as well, butter, dairy. So there's plenty of things that we still buy, and obviously that has a carbon footprint, but it's offset completely by the carbon footprint of the stuff we gift. So that's pretty good. So it basically means the carbon footprint of our food is 0 overall, and in fact we also offset the rest of our carbon footprint as well. So yeah, that's the kind of way we harvest. And so we harvest about 50% generally of what we harvest we end up gifting to friends and family, and 50% we eat ourselves. And the harvest comes off about 250 square metres worth of allotment plots, and that's split in terms of my plot, my daughter's plot, my wife's plot, which we manage just as one big plot. So I do all of the sowing for all 3 plots. Each of us does our own planting. So Debbie does her planting, Jennie does most of her planting, and I do all of my planting. And then we all harvest off all 3 plots. So there's no kind of, like, Jennie doesn't just harvest off her plot, she harvests off my plot and Debbie's plot, and I harvest off Jennie's plot, and we all harvest off each other's plots, and we all help out. So when we've got big jobs and projects, we all help out with each other's plots. So there's no real distinction between the plots, other than we all try and do the planting on each other's plots, on our own plots. So I think I've rambled on enough. I think maybe I should just touch on things that haven't gone very well this year so far. So the peppers are miles behind. We're only just starting harvesting peppers. Tomatoes are a week or so, maybe 2 weeks behind. For the first time we've actually got caterpillars deep inside, and mummy eating the whole of the peppers, which we've never had before. We've never had a caterpillar attack on peppers, which is a bit disappointing. But we're, so far the losses are maybe a third of the peppers so far, but hopefully that will improve. Salads are getting very battered by this weather, and I've actually had to put the cold frame tops on to protect them, because I'm getting some rotting, because just the constant bombardment of rain and wind is causing some rotting on the leaves and in the hearts. So I'm protecting those a little bit, and hopefully that will do the trick, because at this time of year you really don't want to lose your baby salads, because they're the ones you're going to be eating all the way through autumn, and the ones for winter, they're still at home, seedlings at home, so they're fine. But yeah, so salads haven't been that great. And the beans have only just come in. So this month the beans have come in, and we're picking a good harvest of beans. And I say, because we don't freeze very many beans, everybody's getting beans, because we've just got a massive surplus of beans, of course, as you do. Pretty much everything else, maybe the beetroot. God, what a nightmare with the beetroot this year. and everything has got this fungal spot on the leaves, and the leaves are just decimated. Fortunately, most of the beetroot have grown to a reasonable size, or this sort of size, before the leaves are just gone. And so I'll be cutting all those leaves off and hoping that they regenerate, because I don't actually want to pick all the beetroot right now. But the later plantings are still reasonably okay, so they're the ones that we'll be harvesting for store. So anyway, I think I've rambled enough. So anyway, that's it. Harvest day. See you soon.